Episode 6 of Skeleton Crew, directed by the amazing Bryce Dallas Howard. How does she not have her own Star Wars movie yet? I'll never know. This episode is titled Zero Friends Again, and this episode dives us deeper into the characters of the show, which is something that Bryce Dallas Howard's direction is always so good at. She is great at telling human stories. The major themes that we're going to see in this episode: friendship, team dynamics, and overcoming personal obstacles. We see some new friction that we haven't seen before, and we get a little bit of backstory we didn't know yet. But let's dive in to episode 6 of Skeleton Crew. Can we start by talking about the music cues at the very beginning of these episodes? Because I absolutely love them. I think they are just amazing. We open up where we left off. Our kids have escaped the treasure room in very Goonies-esque slides that dump them back out on the planet's surface. And immediately we see that KB is in trouble. Now, an astute fan would have seen this coming a mile away because we've had several clues in episodes leading up to this one showing that KB has some problems. One of her mothers mentions she has urgent medical needs at the very beginning of the series. And we saw KB's reluctance to go to the spas last week, all indicators that something was coming for KB, and this episode brought it. We cut to another Goonies-esque moment as Jod comes up out of the lair, draped in the treasures he found, which is very reminiscent of all the kids loading up on treasure on One-Eyed Willie's ship in the Goonies. And as Jod pops out of that hole, we see some of the residents of the spa, and some of them might look familiar, because we've seen them before or later in the Star Wars timeline, because some of these residents were seen in The Last Jedi on Canto Bight's Casino. I was then so excited to see that SM-33 was going to come out to Jod's rescue, only to see him ion blasted into nothing. I still am pondering the same question over and over again with Jod, though. Why is he not using the Force to help himself with the pirates? Now he's got a lightsaber, he's got the Force at his side. I'm pretty sure he could have escaped had he wanted to, but something tells me he didn't want to escape this time. Back on the planet's surface, the kids see the X-Wings coming in. They must have been called by the residents of the spa, and Wim exclaims that these must be the good guys, showing again that they no longer trust Jod, who told them before that the X-Wings were the bad guys. We also learn that KB has the coordinates to get home. They look up and see that their ship is still there up at the top of the cliff. Fern wants to climb the cliffs to get to it. Wim is not having any of this. And we see the beginnings of tension between Fern and KB, something we haven't really seen at all during this series. And it seems like Fern always has to be right, which is causing this tension. We found these trash crabs on the planet, and Wim is convinced that because they can speak, they're intelligent, and they will help them get back to their ship. But as we all know from episode 1, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. But Fern won't listen, and at this point, the kids split up into teams of 2 to find their way back to the Onyx Cinder. We cut next to the trial of Captain Silvo, who is immediately found guilty by Brutus and sentenced to death by release in an airlock. However, the pirate code calls for equal time and the right to appeal, so Jod gets to state his case. And he uses his charm to help him out of a jam. He speaks to everyone's hunger and lack of credits, and then even brings up our good old pirate captain, Tack Renat, in what can only be described as a Star Wars pirate shanty, and I'm here for it.
Soared away, aboard the Onyx Cinder, and never was he seen again. What's the last line?
For at Atten he did plunder.
For at Acton he did plunder.
And he is spared for now. We cut back to the planet and we get a little bit of jumping back and forth between the two pairs of kids. We start off with finding out that KB really is in serious trouble and Wim has to help her. We then flip-flop to the other two kids and find Fern and Neil climbing, with Neil really struggling. As he puts it, he doesn't have spider legs like Fern, and tells her that not everyone can do the same things that you can do, which we then see a look on Fern's face showing she's realized something. Back to Wim and KB. They have to do some maneuvering with some spare parts so that they can fix her microfuse. And while working on the repairs, they have a heart-to-heart, in which Wim asks why she just doesn't tell Fern what's wrong. KB reiterates what we just heard Neil say, in that Fern doesn't like that people can't do what she can do, and she's worried that they're going to lose their friendship over it. She doesn't accept others as different because Fern doesn't have the patience. And trying to console her, Wim tells her, "Hey, Neil and I'll be your friends." At the last minute, Wim fixes her. KB is back to her bubbly self and tells Wim, "Thanks, Jedi," which gives him a nice boost to his confidence. We cut back to Fern and Neil, and Fern has devised a way to work together with Neil. She creates a rope pulley system that essentially will help her drag Neil up this ladder, and Neil is all about it, thanking Fern for making an accommodation. Here we see that the spa operators have deemed the Onyx Cinder as junk, and they're taking it out to trash. Fern and Neil have to jump to get to it, and we cut back to Wim and KB, who have gotten to where the crabs are leading them, which, if you're a Disney fan, you probably had the same reaction I had upon seeing the king crab. I absolutely loved that. And Wim says, "Why do all the people that I think are good turn out to be bad?" But then Fern and Neil come to the rescue. They crash on the planet again. Fern, having realized what was going on, makes up with KB. KB tells her what's wrong with her. And all four of our kids share in just a bonding hug, which just felt so good to see them all come together like that. But the joy doesn't last for long as they see a giant trash compactor ship ready to mulch up the Onyx Cinder and take away their only chance of getting home. The kids get on board, and we really see the four of them work together and use the things that they've been taught along the way to try and escape. They remember what Jod taught them about the ship. They remember that they're better and stronger when they work together. The problem is that no matter how hard they work together, nothing is working, as we're about to lose the ship and our kids to this garbage ship. They finally decide to go against SM-33's better warnings, and they push the red button. That's not really red, but at this point, the ship sheds its exoskeleton, and the Onyx Cinder is born anew into a beautiful, sleek starship, and the kids escape off planet, presumably heading home. This episode was just an amazing character study of these kids learning who they are, how to work together, how to be more open, growing up essentially as the episode moves through the story. And it was a great transition from the nonstop we've had in the first 5 episodes and a turning point to get us to what I can only hope is an amazing 2-part finale to this story. But as always, I want to know what you thought of the episode. So please let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this as much as I did. Do you want to see Bryce Dallas Howard get her own Star Wars movie? 2 more episodes to go, and I can't wait. And if you love Star Wars, whether it's episode reviews, Lego builds, costuming, prop making, or just talking the shit about Star Wars, please subscribe to my channel because that's what I do here. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.